Hopefully the audio works in this video. I figured a few things out, as I hope you can tell. So yeah, the last video was basically just a breakdown, and it was all about, what's the word for it? Yeah, just my defense and stuff, which you guys didn't get a lot of, my bad. So, I guess, yeah. You did see me win the arena. I don't know why. Well, it's not one yet. Should say that. This video isn't late enough for that, but it's pretty close. Basically what I said was this guy did not think, didn't do what he should have done. I won against it, obviously. No synergy between the characters. He has the characters to have synergy. Had he put a Bastila Shan, that would have been really difficult, because then I couldn't have evaded that. Bastila Shan adds, well, I don't know if his does it, but Bastila Shan can add tenacity, which means that my Vader wouldn't have worked, because I couldn't have done the debuffs. I would have still outrun him. I should check up why I never did that. But, yeah. This is basically just placing basically his most powerful characters on defense. He saved a couple for offense, but not anyone that's actually going to do anything. So, this team here, it's, I don't know, still no synergy. Jedi, Sith, Empire, and Rebel. It's not going to do much for you. They have, they're cool ideas, I'll say that. Mace Windu, he is pretty plug and play, honestly. He will taunt when a character loses protection. If you mod him right, he can do okay damage, but he also has that max health reduction. He has a stun on the shadow point. He has a buff dispel, and he has a call to assist. So they're all useful things if used in the right situation. His leadership isn't necessarily the greatest, but it doesn't need to be. There's way better leaders out here. This team was actually pretty decent. It had decent gear. I personally would have used Obi-Wan Kenobi lead for the evasion up, because this isn't high level stuff, so we don't use accuracy all that much, and you don't really see accuracy all that much anyway. But yeah, and especially on a team like this, they will probably dodge a lot. So just, yeah. Then ships, pretty simple. I was able to win. There's not a whole lot you can really do. It looks like he placed, I think, his more powerful fleet, but there's still no synergy. But at this point, no one has a good ship fleet built up. I don't yet. I'm going to work on my Rebel fleet. My defense, however, basically what I said was this was an okay team. Like I said, I would have done. This is what I would have done. Exact same characters, lower gear. I just needed them to beat the CLS event, because that's why I upgraded them. They'll fade out of view. Obi-Wan is pretty much the only one I'm going to upgrade. That's a basic view of what I said on that. Cool. This team is pretty cool, actually, because they're fast. Gideon is, I think, the fastest space speed character in the game other than a Galactic Legend. And Galactic Legends are going to be way later when you have VODs and stuff, so you can mod people real fast anyway. But Gideon's one of the fastest characters in the game, and then coupled with Tarkin's plus 28 speed on the leadership, he's basically going to outrun every other team that you send it on defense, and if it does the right move, he'll remove their turn meter. I don't know how his AI works at all, though, so that's cool. Dark Trooper, he does decent damage. Tarkin has decent potency. He gives them debuffs, and yeah, just let them do their thing. They're not like the greatest defensive team in the world. I'm not saying that. It's just a decent defensive team that I can use with my roster. The defensive teams you guys are going to use are all dependent on your roster and what you choose to do. This is just what I have available and what I'm using because of what I'm going for. This team, yeah, it's not very smart, but also it's kind of smart because they're all three tanks, so there's not any damage whatsoever, but there is stuns, which is kind of cool. I just realized there's technically two stuns, because Zeb does have a stun. I kept calling it Ezra in the other video, but there was no audio, so you guys didn't catch that. Kanan, when you inflict a debuff on him, unless it's shock or heal immunity, he gains 15% health. I shouldn't say gains. He heals himself by 15% of his health. So whenever you inflict a debuff, he heals 15% of his health, which is pretty good against teams like Vader. Except Vader applies damage over times. So the more those stack up, the more he still recovers health for each debuff that is inflicted, but when they deal damage to him, he doesn't recover health for that. But the neat thing about that is that Kanan actually has a debuff dispel on himself. So if you come here, there's total defense. He dispels all debuffs from himself and grants other target ally protection up. So which means that when he dispels his debuffs, someone else also gets 40% protection up. So if he's not taunting at the time, yeah. He also has a debuff dispel for other characters, which also means that he taunts. So if he's low health, you probably don't want to do that. But also, I have this guy in. Kylo Ren, he's a really annoying tank, because he has this tenacity down, which makes it really easy for you to inflict debuffs. Halt. You can stun the target enemy, but also dispel buffs on him. So if someone's taunting and you want to get rid of that, you can do that, and they're stunned. So, like, unless their taunt is reliant on a certain condition, like Mace Windu or General Kenobi. Mace Windu, when you're removing another character's protection, he gains, not taunt, but resilient defense, which acts similar to taunt. Yeah. Kenobi is, I think, critically hitting others, so if you don't crit hit, it's fine, but Kenobi is just a really annoying taunt. And then, yeah, this is just for a little bit extra damage. Don't need to worry about the leadership. It's only useful for First Order, and it is a decent First Order lead. He also recovers 8% health. That is probably the main thing I want to emphasize there. 8% health isn't like a ton, but it's a decent amount, and especially with this guy's roster, it's enough. I'm going to show you his roster real quick. So his roster, he plays most of his best characters on defense, which you don't really want to do unless like you're confident that the other guy can't beat him. And I don't think he was. I don't think he knew what he was doing at all, because he plays some on defense. He did save some characters for offense, but even if he does get through a couple teams, I don't think he'll win, because of just his roster. He has a couple high gear, some mid gear, which is alright. Then, like, you start getting down here, and, like, sure, there's a couple, like, purple gear, but they're mostly, like, lower gear characters, and there's a whole bunch of them. That's just roster inflation. He has a million GP, but it's doing nothing. It's all useless, because there are just a whole bunch of low gear characters that you can't use. And what I was saying in the other video is that he might have been going for Conquest, which, I mean, even easy Conquest, these are still pretty low gear. You're not going to do much past the first or second round. What is it called? Tier? I guess I'll call it tiers, but whatever. You're not going to do much, because once you get the purple gear, they're going to be useless, and yeah. So really, you inflated his roster needlessly. They're not helping him any, especially in like Grand Arena or something. He's just kind of upgrading characters. So he's more like a collector than anything, which is fine if you want to do that. But if you want to actually like go play competitively in a Grand Arena situation, you gotta have your, like, choose certain teams that upgrade. Like Vader, he's part of the Empire team. Or, well, not necessarily the Empire team. There's other teams you can plug him into. But he's mainly useful with the Empire team, especially at this low level. Yeah, because there's Palpatine, Vader. This guy has at least a full, decently geared Empire team, even if they're not. He should probably upgrade his Thrawn, because Thrawn has the Fracture, which is really useful, especially at this level, because the Fracture character can't do anything. It's not killing them, but it does temporarily remove him until Thrawn's next turn, I believe. I can check it. Do damage 4 times, spell bust. Next turn, or is defeated. In Fracture, speed 7-0, can't attack. Yeah. Anyway, basically, they're useless for a little bit until Thrawn takes the next turn. And there's a bunch of cool mechanics to Thrawn so that you can make him take his next turn slower. So he has all these characters, but they're not really doing him much good. Doesn't mean he can't win. It just means that he's at a huge disadvantage. And I'm pretty sure I'm close to winning. I might update you if I make another video soon. I don't know if I will. Same with First Order too. I don't know what he's doing, so whatever. Just check out his ships. According to power level, 2 most powerful ships are the Endurance and Home 1, and then Execution is down there. So he still actually has 2 capital ships for his offense. His Endurance and Home 1. But he used the Execution on defense probably because of this ability. Deal damage 12 times to random enemy targets. Which is, I mean, at this early game stuff, it's pretty big. It's a lot of damage. It's basically like a guaranteed kill on at least one enemy. So it's really annoying to fight, especially when you get to it, unless you can get to it faster. I also use the Executrix as my main ship, and I have a Gear 10 Tarkin, but I think I was faster because I had better mods. I didn't check his mods. Anyway, so he used a lot of his main ships for his defense, so he's left with weaker ships for offense, so I don't think he's got too much of a chance there. That's kind of a basic breakdown of my... Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, that's a basic breakdown of my 3v3 defense. I say I'm a lot. Yeah, there's room for improvement on my part. I don't have a great many teams up and running at this point. I'm mainly farming for the CLS team, which means that my next project right now is kind of bounty hunters, but I'm not really doing them because I want to get a better fleet. Because if I can full clear his fleet and my opponent's fleet, and they can't full clear mine, that's a win for me at least. Unless, of course, I can't full clear his characters, but I have decent characters right now. Come check out my roster, and this is what I'm doing. Like, yeah, sure, they're not amazingly great, but you'll notice how many more purple gear I have right off, and how more condensed it is. I'm only 716,000 compared to his 1 mil. But, and yeah, you get down here, it's like I don't have a ton of characters, but I've smartly upgraded them and all that. Like these guys, I haven't hardly touched. I did touch Dash Indar, Counselor, Soldier, and not that guy, TIE Fighter Pilot. They're all, and Count Dooku, they're all mainly beginner character, really early game, pre-level 85. And I needed characters. I didn't have enough. And yeah. I will eventually upgrade, I think, all of those. Because I've touched, let's see. Soldier, yeah. Geonosian team, Jedi Counselor, he has a ship. Dash Indar is a really useful lead with a prepared team. Or Scoundrels in general, which will come in handy later. TIE Fighter Pilot has a ship. Dooku is a really annoying thing. And he will be very useful in obtaining Padme, which I will do eventually. I'm just busy with other stuff right now. The Inquisitor team, I upgraded because I had them. I got them from the Marquee event. They were free, and they were just what I had at the time, and I need another team. They're not great at anything, really, but they're a team. Then, I could just show you my squads. Anyway, yeah, so my main team right now is my Empire team with the Vader. Vader has 3 possible Zetas. Take him to Relic as soon as you can. I'm kind of working on it real slow because I'm also upgrading other characters. I should focus more on him. But Merciless Massacre. This is the very first Zeta you want to equip always. My opponent didn't have it. It would have probably changed the outcome of everything. If you go watch the video I posted right before this, you'll see that I fought the Vader team. He didn't have the Merciless Massacre. I had 2 characters under stealth on CLS, Leia, and R2-D2. And so I put Leia and R2 under stealth because CLS is gear 12, since he has a survivability, and he also has pretty good health recovery. I have 1 Zeta on him. Probably not the one I want right now, but I will get more. But had they had this Zeta on Vader, well, the AI is kind of stupid, so it might not have done it. But had it done it, it would have been able to attack all my characters. Pull them out of stealth. Oh, it would not have pulled them out of stealth. That's my bad. He doesn't have the other Zeta. The second Zeta you want on Vader probably is No Escape, because Darth Vader is immune to turn meter reduction and recovers 5% health. Whenever Darth Vader activates Merciless Massacre, it dispels stealth from all allies, which means he can target everyone. He didn't have that Zeta or Merciless Massacre, so Merciless Massacre might not have made that much difference, but had he had those two Zetas, yeah, I would not have been in the best situation. That would have been able to ability block all my characters, and which would have done a lot. And my Empire team, yeah, this is kind of my main one. I don't quite have enough. Anyway, I use Palpatine Lead because when inflicting debuffs, you gain turn meter, I think. I don't have a Zeta on him yet. I probably will eventually. Zeta is kind of nice when the debuff on an enemy expires. Empire Sith allies gain 5% turn meter. It's kind of nice, depending on the team. But this ability, 35 potency, max health, and yeah, minus 35 evasion. Inflicts a debuff, 20% turn meter per debuff. And whenever a Sith ally inflicts a debuff, there's a recovery of 20%. That's kind of big. This is also nice with, like, yeah, it just increases his stats a little bit. Gideon, I told you about him earlier. Tarkin. With Palpatine, this ability, he gains enough turn meter because he inflicts gain potency up, inflict critical chance down, and offense down for 3 turns on all enemies. That's 2 debuffs per enemy unless I have really high tenacity and he misses a debuff, which is 10 debuffs inflicted 10 times 20 is 120. That's 120% turn meter. So that's basically he takes a turn immediately after. And then you use this one. Special damage always 100% chance to remove 50% of turn meter. That's instant turn meter removal. They can't take. They get their next turn slower, and your team ramps up their speed. They don't ramp it up, but they get to their. They basically get a chain going because the other team can't take a turn. Unless, of course, yeah. And then this attack gains offense equal to double Tarkin's potency percentage. So I should probably actually have more potency mods on him. I do have slots open. Is this needed anywhere? No. Okay. Equip it real quick. Then he does have Zetas. 20% potency for each debuff enemy. Okay. It's not here. That's actually a useful Zeta. I probably want to cut that anytime soon. Yeah, don't worry about that. I think there's something in here. Game potency, blah, 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 blah. Huh. Doesn't do it. Whatever. It's fine. Wait, what? Well, potency opportunity is increased potency, so it does more damage, yeah. Anyway, moving on to Vader. I already talked about him. He also has ability blocks. He has Force Guards, inflict debuffs, take another turn with Palpatine lead. Remember that. Make sure you have the right lead. This deals damage for each debuff and stuff. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, Darth Vader is probably an important character. Thrawn, I've talked about. He's pretty plug and play. He has a stun, I think. If they already have ability block, inflict stun. So stuns are really nice, especially on a basic, and with Vader having ability blocks on his basic as well, I think they both do. Deal special damage, so I can grant them speed up for one turn. Or if they already have ability block, inflict. Okay, yeah, it doesn't inflict ability block. My bad. Okay, but if they do have ability block, you will stun them. It's nice. Vader does have ability blocks on his basic. So, and you part them together, Vader does Merciless Massacre, maybe kills one off if you're lucky. Then Thrawn comes in, you can stun them, or if it's first turn, you can fracture them. Yeah, I talked about fracture earlier, I don't need to talk about it. This actually has them recover 40% protection, which can be useful for banner recovery at the end if you've had just someone not too much of an unlucky run. You basically massacred the other team, and you're onto this. Swap turn meter, they get to take a turn as well. Don't worry too much about his leader ability. It's kind of nice. It's not a huge deal. Ebb and Flow. This is probably going to be a required Zeta. I will equip this later. It's a really good Zeta, especially if any... Yeah. Yeah, because this part right here. And whenever another Empire ally uses... Yeah, if any enemies are fractured enemies lose 15% turn. Yeah. So whatever. And back to Palpatine. So that's my main team. Save it for offense. Then I saved like my 3 best teams for offense because this is the Phoenix team. The team required to get Thrawn. Sabine is like, if you use Sabine instead of Chopper, you have to upgrade the Phoenix just a little bit more. But I consider it worth it because I'm never going to use Chopper. Probably not going to touch Phoenix for a long, long time to really late game, which they might not even get that far on this account. But with Sabine, I view her as valuable within the Mandalorian team because she has certain things. Oh, okay, whatever. But Sabine, basically, if you equip her Zeta, which is on her Demolish ability, which is a group attack, you can inflict expose on target enemy, a whole bunch of other debuffs. It does decent damage. It's alright for a Mandalorian team. Not the Maul Mandalorians. Those are way later game. We don't need to worry about those. I will not get that for a long time. But yeah. Because she can go with Mandalorian. She might not be the best fit. There's better Mandalorians, like, if you want to put them in there. It just depends on what Mandalorians you choose for your team. Anyway, going back to my squads. Ezra as well, especially early game, is incredibly useful. He's a Jedi. He can go with the Jedi team, but he also has decent damage, a buff to spell, an assist, and he bonus attacks with his basic. So he's attacking twice. Yeah, Kanan Ezra I've talked about here. She's a decent leader, but she's only 4 Phoenix. You can't throw anything else under. I'm calling this base Rebels. This is just because it's what I have right now. It's not the final team, but CLS is really good, very useful. I will also be taking him to Relic. He'll probably be my second Relic character. And then R2, Luke, Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi I might keep on the team for a while until I get C-3PO. But R2, he can be alright. He has stuns, stealth, burning, which is kind of like, I don't know. It's like damage over time, just burning. A little bit different. Then 2 Zetas if you want to equip them. It depends on whether you want to put him in a droid team or not. I probably won't take him up for a while yet. He's required for a Galactic Legend, which I don't really advise farming until later. Luke Skywalker, he's going to... Farm boy Luke. He's going to stay where he is. I don't need to upgrade him. Gear 10. He's doing fine for me right now. Princess Leia, Gear 9. I might take her to like another gear level or 2. She's not... I don't think she's required for anything else. She's a decent character, but I just don't need her. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Old Ben, he's actually a pretty good character. Let me show you. He has evasion down, whatever. Mind tricks with turn meter removal, which is pretty cool. It's an 80% chance to miss 60% turn meter, and inflexibility blocks. Ability blocks are always useful. Devoted Protector, when you Zeta it, he gains taunt for 1 turn when the taunt expires. And this is a 2-turn taunt. So basically, if like someone dispels the taunt before his 2 turns are up, he will re-taunt. And if his 2 turns are up, he will taunt for a 3rd turn. It's pretty simple. His leader ability, just evasion, nothing special. If you strike me down, this is pretty cool. Basically, when he dies, if there's other active allies, they gain a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty cool. He's fairly useful, and he is required for a Galactic Legend as well. Jedi. This is just a basic Jedi team. He's not going to stay this way. All these characters are going to go elsewhere. Mace Windu I might upgrade, but probably not too much. He is a useful character. He is great. He comes with a lot of benefits, but there's better options, I'm going to say. Although his max health reduction and just what he can do is really useful. I'll say that. Bastila Shan, she's needed for Revan. She's also kind of a cool character. Her lead is pretty big. If you Zeta, it's 200% bonus protection, but if not, it's just 150. There's also extra tenacity, so Darth Vader or debuff heavy teams have a really hard time working against it. Ahsoka, she is also useful. She has a buff to spell on the basic, and if the person has foresight, she'll hit them. They can still dodge her when they don't have foresight, but if they have foresight, there's no dodge chance. She will hit them, if possible. And Grandmaster Yoda, he's a good character, decent damage, really good. There is turn meter reduction and stun kind of all in one. It's a maybe chance. And Anakin, he's very useful. Qui-Gon Omicron later game, but also Padme team. Ahsoka and Anakin are both Padme team, and General Kenobi will also slip into that. Shaak Ti clones. This is like the beginner clone team, I guess. Shaak Ti is also very useful as the 5th slot in Bad Batch. I don't use that on either of my accounts because I don't have gas yet for the 501st home. But this isn't like a complete clone team. I'm missing one 501st. But it's a decent team. Like, Shaak Ti has a whole bunch of benefits and cool stuff that she can do. Rex, aerial advantage, really cool. Echo, he assists 5 when he dies. Same thing as Old Ben. Sorry. Bounty Hunter team, yeah. I'm going to end this video a little quicker than I intended. I guess it's basically just an overview of what the last one was because the audio was messed up. My bad, guys. But thanks if you dropped in and watched that. Really appreciate it. Thank you.